Welcome to Button a Day. Today we're going to look at how to import image files for reference into both Solidworks and Fusion 360. We're going to look at whether we can do anything to... oh, I'm really small. Let's make myself a bit bigger. Hey! See if we can do anything to shorten that workflow and maybe get information a little bit quicker if all goes to plan. Today happens to be the release of Last of Us 2. So excited to play. It's downloaded, it's ready to go on my console. I'm just waiting for the wife to go home from work. Got pizza, it's going to be amazing. So I'm going to do an image of the Firefly logo from The Last of Us 1. Just why not? For those that don't know me, my name is Dan Rutter. I'm a CAD modeler. I've been working in the film industry for the last 5 years. It's an amazing job, drawing up who knows what, any day of the week. Who knows what's going to be put in front of me. Lots of good sort of head scratching moments of how am I going to do this, and you get on with it and you tackle it, and it's great. I predominantly use Solidworks, but I'm trying to do a bit more Fusion 360 at the minute because I know lots of people are starting to use that, especially while we're all in quarantine and starting to learn some new software. So that's why I'm covering both things here. So I have found an image. Let's do that. There we go. I found this image here. It's just the logo of the Firefly. It's very simple, just black and white. And my plan is to sort of draw around that and give it some depth. Maybe it's something I can print. Maybe it's something I want to emboss into a prop. Who knows? Little tricks and tips for prepping your images before you bring them in. So, as we can see here, we've got this white canvas, and our image that we actually want, our detail, isn't central on that canvas, which is going to make scaling things up, positioning things all a little bit awkward. So I tend to use Photoshop. You can do this in quite a few image editors. I'm saying even your mobile phone nowadays, if you have an iPhone, maybe if you've got an Android, I don't know, I don't have one, you can go in, edit the image, and you can crop things quite easily. Now I'm just going to zoom in, Control Plus, and I would like to try and crop this down so that we're just touching the very edge of our image that we want, just like that. I'm going to do the top as well, bring that down to the top of these antennae, and we'll do the base. So pretty much now what we can do is we can stipulate the size of this image when we bring it in. I'm already touching that, perfect hit enter. So we can stipulate the size of this image, so when we bring it in we know exactly what size it is. So in Photoshop we can go up to image, canvas size here, we can change that from pixels to millimeters. Tick our relative box, so if we make it slightly narrower on the width, it's going to automatically reduce the height. Oh no, which it's going to do anyway, I think. Oh no, I'm going to go to image size, not canvas size. Canvas size lets you do things all over the shop. This one, change that to millimeters. There we go, we've got our link here. So this width, we're going to bring that down to 95, and it automatically adjusts that height. We'll go OK. So we can save this out. Save as, we will call this the Firefly logo trimmed. We'll just save over the top of this one. Yes, I would like to replace it. Image sizes, they don't have to be huge. If you've got loads of huge images in your CAD software is not designed to handle large images. It can slow down the amount of time it takes your model to load up. So if it's just there for reference, a medium image is absolutely fine. It's okay. Now we're going to start with Solidworks. So I've got a new part, and I'm going to just select the front plane, and under Tools we've got Sketch Tools, and then here, just grayed out, you'll see Sketch Picture. Now it's grayed out because we actually need to start a sketch. So we do front plane and we will select Sketch. So from here we would normally start drawing using our tools up here, but instead this time we will go to Tools, Sketch Tools, and Sketch Picture. Here's our trimmed logo, bring that in. See what I mean about CAD software not necessarily wanting to handle large images. And SolidWorks will automatically put the image so that the origin in your 3D space is at the bottom left corner, which is, you know, at least it's fixed somewhere, it's not just floating around. And there are a few different ways we can change this. So it's also telling me that this image has come in at 1122 millimeters long. Well, I want it to be 100 mil. In this instance, press that, and that'll scale it down to there. You do also have this scaling bar here. So if you drag this end of it, so say we hadn't cropped our image, or even if we had cropped our image and we're going off a piece of reference artwork that tells me that the distance between this point here and this point here is 20 millimeters. You know, how do you scale that up? You can draw lines and then manually stretch it, but this allows us to click from this point here, and we can bring the other end of the arrow across, which is now really far away. There we go. Zoom in. You say, right, point to point, that is 20 millimeters. And that now scales our image to be that size. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Like I say, I'm actually going to say, well, we want it to be 100 mil wide. Do that. Now, if I wanted my origin, bear in mind that's where my standard planes are, my right plane, front plane, top plane are all intersecting that point, and my image is up here. That's going to be a little bit annoying. So I've got my X and Y positioning, and that plots from that bottom left hand corner. So if I change this to be 5 instead of 14, it moves across, so that is now 5 millimeters away from that origin point. Now we could do some maths and work it out, and in this instance we can. So it's 100 mil, I want to do half of that, so that's going to be 50, and it moves the wrong side, so actually I want it to be minus 50, and we know that is now central. Now the height of the image, you know, if you want to do the maths of 73.0837787, you can, or we can just copy that bit of information. We'll put it into here, paste it in, and we'll just go divide by 2. So just backslash 2. And that will do the maths for us. So again, it's moved it up, so we just need to put a minus in front of it. And there we go, that's now, that origin point is center in our image, which is going to make life much easier. So we press OK. Other useful things to do is we need to exit that sketch, because it is a sketch, that's how we started this. And then here we can just right click, rename our tree item and call it ref image, or whatever you want. It just means we can find it easy enough in our tree, and we can always go in and we can hide it later once we've actually used it. We don't need to see it anymore. Let's have a look at Fusion. So Fusion, got a new blank document here. We've got insert, and we can insert a canvas. Exact same kind of thing. It asks me where is the image. Is it uploaded to my Fusion 360 work folder? No. Insert from my computer. Here's our trimmed image. I want to put this on the front face. Now I know this is the front face because I can look at my little reference cube at the top here. You see it just drops it straight in, and it's even positioned the origin in the center of my image, which is perfect. Now we've got some options. We can change the opacity. You know, maybe we want it to be more of a background image for our rendering, in which case we could slide that right the way up and we could tick renderable, so it actually will render. Or, you know, if it's just reference, sometimes you do want it ghosted so you can see objects both sides of the image plane. But all I've got here is like the scale of it. So if I know I want it to be twice as big as it is, but then I don't really know how big it is, there's no measurements here to tell me that. Well, there's a weird way of working on this, so we press OK, and then we end up with this canvases little folder, and there's our Firefly logo. Now if I click on the front, so I get a nice sort of straight on view, and then I right click on my Firefly logo, I've got calibrate. So what this lets me do is select 2 points. So I'm going to go for the corners, go enough point there to that point there. Zoom in as much as we can, make it nice and as accurate as we can. And then I can specify, instead of being 17.5 millimeters, I want that to be 100. That's going to scale everything up to fit. And that's how we can bring an image in to Fusion, get it the right size, right orientation, and then we can start sketching on top of that. So we create a sketch, choose our tools, and then we can start sort of zooming in. You see it goes a little bit blurry, it's the nature of images, unfortunately. So we can start doing all this. Do that, we can turn that into a little arc later. You know, and we're quite good. This image isn't too bad. We'd only have to draw half of it and then mirror it over. But then maybe we don't have to. What if there is a quicker way? Depending on what you want to use this for, maybe it is just a little emboss detail, maybe it is something that is only going to be 100 millimeters. So if you're slightly out, it's not going to be noticeable. Well, we can do an image trace. So I use CorelDRAW a lot. You can do this as well in Inkscape, which is a free piece of software that does vector outputs, and also Adobe Illustrator, which I think they call it Live Paint. I'm going to import our image. There's our trimmed logo. Just pop it in the middle. Make it 100mm wide. And all we have to do is right click on the image, and we're going to do an outline trace. Now, this is a very clean image, it's just black and white, fairly sharp edges, so I think a logo preset will be fine. You do a detailed logo, maybe if there are a few different colours in it. Clip art, right the way up to a high quality photo image. You know, but most of the time, pretty good. Line art is an interesting one. As it says, if it's line art, if it's something that somebody has drawn a pen and paper sketch that's not coloured in and you want those lines, I've used it before for signatures, so maybe somebody has signed something and they want it lasered into a bit of wood. You can either take that image, turn it black and white and do an engrave, or you can set the laser to actually follow the path of those curves, which can give you a more kind of fluid look. So we'll go for a detailed logo. And what it does is it has a little think about it, and it just positions these orange lines over the top, saying this is a preview of where we think the edges of these shapes are, which is pretty good. Now, one thing that is confusing here is it's telling me that there are 6 curves. Well, there should only be 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes. Now, that is going to be because it has somehow picked something up as being a slightly different shade of white. So I can come in here and say, well, actually, no, there are only 2 colours in this image. There we go. It has another think about it. Now it's telling me there are only 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. Other options here. Do we want to delete the original image? Well, no, I'm going to have it there for a minute just so we can compare how it looks. Do we want to remove the background? If we don't have that, this is going to come up and say 5, and that's because it's done 4 black parts of our logo and 1 white part of our logo. We don't want that white part, so why not remove it now, save deleting it later. Once we're happy with that, you know, we can zoom in, and what we notice is this isn't super duper accurate, you know, as I said. So when it comes to sort of curves in these corners, we would want to make nice tangent arcs in there if we were getting it CNC'd, or it was something that we were going to see a lot of close-up detail. But if this thing's only 100mm wide, you know, you're not going to notice. So that's absolutely fine. And press OK. Now we can move this over here. Here's our vector shape. Just give it a yellow outline, no fill at the minute. Pop that back on top, so we can see if there's any major discrepancies anywhere. Kind of looks all right. Fairly happy with that. So we can delete our background image. Don't need that anymore. And let's make that a colour we're going to see. Let's keep it yellow actually. And then all we can do is we can go to File and Export. I'm going to call that, let's do it as a DWG. Let's try DWG anyway. Let's call that traced logo. Let's see how we get on with that. So let's go back to our SolidWorks. Let's do a new part. Our front face. And this time we don't start a sketch. This time we just select the face, and then we go up to Insert and DXF/DWG. We're going to look for our DWG, and that's called Traced Logo. It's weird, it doesn't show DWGs and DXFs in one list. You have to do that little drop down so you know what it is you're looking for. We want to import the part as a 2D sketch. Because obviously you can get 3D DWGs and DXFs if you've drawn something in 3D in AutoCAD. Here's our lines. Now, default unit is coming as inches. We want to change that to millimeters. Go next. It's giving us a little icon showing where our origin is. Now, because I drew this in, or traced this in the center of my canvas on CorelDRAW, it's picked up that that is where the center of the origin will be, is in the center of the part, which is quite a useful thing. If you do use CorelDRAW, P is the shortcut that will move everything to the middle. Now, if you have separate objects and you press P, it will move each object to the center, so things might overlap, so you're going to want to select everything, group it together, and then P, and that will just move it into the center of your canvas. Once you're happy with that, finish. Has a little think, and brought in our sketch. So we've got some additional nodes here that we could have cleaned up in CorelDRAW. You know, we're missing a line here, which does unfortunately sometimes happen. But we can right-click here and choose Make Edit Sketch. And then we can come up here, Edit Sketch, and we can just draw that line in. Now, I'm not too bothered because my plan here was always going to be do half of it and then flip it, just so everything matched up nicely. So now we've got that sketch, we can do exactly that. We go to Features, Extrude Boss Base. It's picked everything up, but if we wanted to just say, well no, let's do half of it, so it is all mirrored. We can say 3 mil. Okay, and then because we know that origin was in the center of our sketch here, we've got our right plane, right plane in the right place. We can choose mirror. Mirror face is that right plane. Bodies to mirror. These ones here. And there we go. And in fact, if we go back and we just turn that sketch back on so we can see it, spin round, you can see everything kind of matches up. See, there's a slight discrepancy here where that sketch had a bit of a bend on that side. This one is nice and straight. Yeah. There we go, so that's doing that in SolidWorks. Okay, my CAD package is confused. Not amazingly accurate, but if it's something quick, you know, that's a lot quicker than having to draw around that by hand. So if we want to do the same thing in Fusion, we can go to Insert up here, and we got the option of inserting a DXF, not a DWG. Okay, so let's go back into CorelDRAW. We'll just output this as something else. Go to File and Export. Make sure we choose DXF instead of DWG, and we will call this Traced Logo DXF with underscore. I like putting file extensions into file names. If you're opening up these drawings on someone else's computer for whatever reason and their file associations are different, it can get really awkward and confusing. And at least if you put it in the file name, if you want to search for it, it will come up and just makes life easier. So we'll export that. It's just telling us millimeters is our scale. We've got various options of exporting, but we'll try R14. And then okay, so this is probably an older version, but sometimes that's good. The newer versions can have a little bit of an issue copying over to other softwares. Okay, so Fusion. So we can go up here to our insert DXF. It's asking us which plane do we want. So I think we've already selected one, which is useful, which is our front plane. And this little folder icon here lets me find our sketch. So traced logo DXF. Think about it. Yeah, so you can see it's brought in all of our lines. All looks pretty good. We've got the option of moving things around. If we want to insert things instead of as one single sketch, or one sketch per layer, if you've got a layer DXF, that's quite useful. If you're doing architecturally type stuff, you might have your walls or your windows on different layers, so that enables you to like do an extrude of all your wall footprints, and just go through and pick different things. Also tells you which layers you've got here, but so we've got everything on one layer. Okay, so let's finish that sketch. Let's hide our logo, our little reference canvas, and here we have our geometry. So now we've got that, we can go to our extrude boss base, we can select these shapes, and we can pull those out, mill, or we can do half of it and mirror it. You know, it's all pretty straightforward. One of these, there we go, visual style. Let's actually give it some lines. Yeah, so there we go. I hope that's helpful and useful. It's been a bit of a lifesaver for me in the past, just to very quickly be able to get something in 3 dimensions. Yeah, if you've got any other questions, topics, any ideas for stuff you'd like to see me cover, drop me a comment, let me know. If you want me to do a few more videos about comparing Solidworks to Fusion 360, I know there's a few people out there who have used Solidworks in the past and are now thinking of getting back into CAD drawing, don't want to pay for Solidworks and would like to migrate their knowledge over to Fusion 360, we can definitely do that. And if you don't mind liking the video, maybe clicking subscribe, that would be much appreciated. Stay safe everyone, and I'll hopefully be online again soon. Take care.